and it's much more supportive. I wouldn't want to be in one of those shouty things that makes people feel bad about themselves. To me, it's just, I think there's enough unkindness and rudeness in the world now. While I
Are you ready for this?
I guess.
Yes, we've been building up to this for like 3 months. So 3 months ago I got something for Mom, and it's kind of a, I don't know, it's turned into a bigger deal than it probably is, but it's something I know that she probably want to go see, and so it's only today and it's a Wednesday, so I jumped off work to do it. And so she hasn't known. We're about to leave, so I figured I'd show her what she's actually gotten herself into. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So you are going to a chef talk from Nigella Lawson and high tea with her in the gardens down on Mercer Island.
Oh my gosh. I love Nigella.
So
it's gonna be awesome.
So we're gonna head down to Mercer Island, which is a big island in the center of Seattle on the Lake Washington. The Jewish Community Center has a big garden area, and they're supposed to have high tea for a very limited number of people, which Mom gets to be a part of. And then she has a chef talk at noon. I don't know how long that takes.
Okay.
I'm totally outnumbered here.
There's one other gentleman.
There's one out of like 100 women.
You like cooking shows.
I do. Yes, I must show my femininity.
This is an awesome, like, Mother's Day / birthday present.
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm just surrounded by estrogen everywhere.
I'll protect you.
I feel like it should be talking about childbirth, or royal family or something.
You were there staying, checking our tickets.
Checking our tickets. Make sure that we're not illegal Nigella lovers.
Can't have it.
Your purse is attacking this side.
Yeah, the old scum coming in.
Yes, that's our free book. You get a book with our VIP pass as well.
Bag will be checked.
You get what?
Bag will be checked.
Bag will be checked? Oh, bags will be checked. Yes. That's. They don't just let normal claw people up here. Amazing food, all of her recipes, all of the foodie things is all her special recipes, so you gotta take a look at some of this, lots of it.
I want to try this.
I really prefer it. Okay.
I agree.
So I'll get them.
Now I remember.
Yeah, definitely outnumbered. I think there's maybe 4 male, maybe 5 males here. Not the best.
With all the gaming conventions I've been to recently, it's your turn.
The VIP thing is over. Now we're in the auditorium. There's a lot more people. So she's gonna sit up there, stand up there, dance around. And we got a pretty good seat right in front. Our VIP seats. Not too bad.
Right, this is very cozy, and the chairs match my book cover, which is wonderful.
We're all trying to be coordinated today.
Yeah, I know, I appreciate it. Would you sure you wouldn't prefer to have a look at the colour pictures?
But
You've got that early proof of black and white.
I did, I know, but I made it through somehow.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
By my count, this is either the 10th or 11th.
11th.
The 11th cookbook. And that's a lot of recipes. To
That's
me,
an awful lot for someone who never thought she would be a food writer.
you admit to having virtually non-existent knife skills.
Not virtually, non-existent knife skills. I mean, it's, you know, I don't have to admit to it because anyone who sees me on television can see.
Okay.
But yes, but I don't admit to it in a, you know, because I'm ashamed. Although I have to say, if ever I see any film of myself chopping, I do think, no. I loved being my maternal grandmother, and I would go out shopping with her on Friday afternoon, and we'd cook in the evening, and I really loved that, and that was a very special time for me. When I had, you know, I used to say to my children when they were little, look, I wasn't sure I wanted children, but I was definite that I wanted grandchildren, so you're just the necessary. When I was a child, a lot in England, you know, a lot of people ate quite bland food, whereas my mother, you know, cooked food that was full of flavour, and food was very much a focal point at home. And we were all, you know, she believed in child labour, so we were called into from a very young age. And so that helped. But I suppose in a way my mother's been the greatest influence. But not that I cook the same food as her, although I do sometimes. But I cook in the same way. And, you know, she was quite impatient and could be quite bad-tempered. And in a way, I'm often aware that when I cook, I have that slightly hurried approach and just throw things in. And you know, not that I'm bad-tempered. I enjoy food more, and I learned from her. I enjoy food more than she did, which is also important. You learn to be a certain way because you don't want to. You know, the great thing about mothers and daughters, you know, the reality is you say I'm going to be different, and you end up the same thing. Some of my friends, I was with, you know, high school and at university. Well, that's an awfully long time. I mean, it would be a bit odd if they started getting intimidated by me now, wouldn't they? No, they mock me very cruelly, actually. I'm a figure of ridicule. It's okay, that's what friends are for. And I think maybe what has happened, though, and I don't think this is because of what I do for a living, I think it's my age, which is I am more intolerant of food that doesn't give me pleasure, and so that I don't really want to eat things I don't love, and so sometimes that makes me, you know, that's not great. But I think that also for the reasons, and the reasons there are twofold when I say about age. One is I've eaten more dinners than I'm going to eat, so the ones I'm going to have to, you know, be worth it. And the other is. As you get older, and you won't believe this if you're a young person here, as you get older, you can't eat as much. I never thought that would happen to me, although a friend of mine said, Nigella, you still eat more than a normal person, it's just you don't eat as much as you could. So I can't, like at night time, I wouldn't eat as much as I used to. So I really want the food to be good. I don't want, whereas I think when I was younger, I always cared, but not every meal was so important to me.
Food item that you hate and don't want to get anywhere near?
Well, a green bell pepper. Green bell pepper, no. So, like I said, it's unripe. Well, with good reason. I mean, it's just an unripe red pepper. But I feel if you're Hungarian, that's fine. Because it's such a part of Hungarian cooking, and I respect that. But if you're not Hungarian, there's no call for a green
Letters coming in.
Although I should say that, but Yotam Ottolenghi has got a salad with green pepper, and I had it at his house once, and it was good, but then he did, you know, soak it to get various things out of it overnight, and it made a big difference. But I don't feel the need. There are enough wonderful things that I haven't got time to eat. I don't need to make an effort for a green bell pepper.
What challenges did you face as a woman entering the TV cooking industry? Would you recommend it to your daughters?
What challenges? Well, TV I'd always been sure I didn't want to go and do TV when I was younger. I feel for a young woman, I was much nicer for me. I was a print journalist and I did radio, so I felt I was judged on my words, not my appearance. I left it until I was 40 to do TV and then 50 to do HD. A challenge for me is much more, and is actually to forget the cameras there. And which I do quite easily because I've had the same crew forever. And I'm not scripted. So I don't feel, I'm not trying to, there's nothing I'm trying to say, I'm just going blather, blather, blather like I am now. You know, I do realise that it's odd because I don't think cooking is a competitive sport, and yet I enjoy being a judge on MasterChef Australia. But I also think MasterChef Australia is different from the MasterChef here and in England. It's much kinder and it's much more supportive. I wouldn't want to be in one of those shouty things that makes people feel bad about themselves. To me, it's just, I think there's enough unkindness and rudeness in the world now. While people, you know, cooking things that is so much more complicated than I would attempt. But it's interesting, but in the end, you know, and I'm a judge early on in the proceedings, because obviously it's kind of at the early stages when I wouldn't do a late stage when they have all the big chefs on. But what interests me is that a lot of them too early on, they try and dazzle with technique, and you have to say, just taste your food. Just make sure it tastes good. And just really make sure that you choose something quite simple and do it well. Because everyone wants to eat food like that. And of course, as you get in the later stage of a competition, it's great to do things which are more complicated, but there is no point doing something complicated unless it tastes really good. You're better off doing something simple. And I think that's the thing. I think that actually in the end that it's a hard thing. Television, the demands of a television program are not the demands of a kitchen table, clearly. There's no such thing as making everybody happy.
Well, have you been to Pike Place Market? I know the answer. What inspires you there?
Yes, I went yesterday and it was very, very beautiful. I felt I really want to come back and have a kitchen because it's something quite frustrating about seeing all that beautiful produce but not be able to cook with it. But I did, so I thought it was lovely. I loved all the fish, and the fish looked incredible, and there was, as I say, there was some beautiful asparagus and also some really amazing potatoes. They looked wonderful, and I ate in Max in the market, which was lovely. I got a lot in a short time.
That was well done. You like to document your food?
Yes, I always did. I did it in the old-fashioned days when you had to go to them and get them developed, and I always felt a bit bad that, you know, I'd be on, you know, go to Italy on vacation, and there'd be like 2 pictures of my children and endless pictures of tomato stalks. So it's much less embarrassing for me now that, you know, I don't have anyone else to record that. You know, sometimes I get quite snappy. I put a picture of a stew. People say, oh, it's really horrible and brown. Look, stew is brown, and brown food tastes best, you know. And so so brown and beige food gets lost. I've got a chicken and barley dish in here, which is really like the anti-Instagram recipe. I also love the village square feel of the internet, the recipe swapping, the pictures of what people are cooking. You know, you can easily avoid the more stylized, mannered accounts. I mean. And I like it, and for me it's very moving too when people tag me into, you know, or a hashtag or something, and they've cooked one of my recipes, and actually it's such a moving thing that it's food that comes from, you know, my home and been on my table, and I see it on someone else's table, and I love that. It's a really lovely thing. I think food is about sharing it, you know, I can't actually share my food at my table, but you're sharing the enthusiasm. And I love it when people say what they did to change a recipe too. Sometimes someone said, I hope it's okay, I changed it. I say, well, that's cooking. Of course you did, you know, and I like that. And we can't all like the same herbs, and you might have a different vegetable in your drawer, you know, so that's what you do. And it's as much as the, you know, to and fro and the talk that I get from and that we all share, the better it is.
Do you go to bed without doing the washing up? Intimate?
I'm a great believer in soaking things. But I do it first thing in the morning. But I like to get as much done as I can, and then I do some. And then I leave some things in to soak, and then I have a ritual in the morning, which is I take these probiotics, and you can't eat or drink for 10 minutes. Which is the longest 10 minutes of my life. So I do that, and in those 10 minutes I empty the dishwasher and I do all the washing up. It focuses me, I'm speedy. Allow yourself to make mistakes, and I would say this is absolutely true out of the kitchen too, that you have to risk failure, and you have to fail, and in order to succeed in anything. And people who've never failed at anything tend to have a much harder life later on, actually, because you need to fail, and then you learn to do things better, and you also need to realise that you're more resilient than you think. My feeling is that a lot of people lose confidence because they follow recipes that don't work, and I think it's very important. So for me, a cookbook has two duties. It has to be utterly reliable as a manual, and it has to be a pleasure to read. And that's what I look for in other people's books, and I hope to do with mine. So only if you can try a recipe and it works does it give you the confidence to start playing with it. But if you've got again, it goes back to that thing that was true in and out of the kitchen. We all need a framework. And we all need to be spontaneous, but you need a certain amount of structure in order to give you the basis to fly.
What'd you think?
I loved it. She is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
She's just like she is in the TV show. Or she's just acting, but she's really impressive.
No, I believe that she's really truly kept her personality through all of the fame and nonsense, right? That I was not expecting that who she was on the show was pretty much who she is. So it was really nice, and she had a lot of really good insights about food and what it means culturally. So
yeah, I thought it actually was really cool. She's really, again, she could be putting on a show, but I didn't get that feel. She actually seemed to be pretty sincere, so she's pretty cool. I actually appreciated her.
There was one question I would have loved. They had passed out little papers and you could write questions down, but of course I didn't think of the question until passing in your question was over. I would have liked to have asked her. She talks about, doing all these cookbooks, and this is like number 12 or number 11 or something. But I would have liked to ask her if she's going to do for her children and grandchildren. Like, I don't know, my mother-in-law hand wrote a cookbook for me with all the family or favorite things. If I were to ask her a question, I would ask her, so are you going to just do a personal cookbook for your children and your grandchildren, just like with all your faves and all the handed down family recipes, just like, and that's just for them, not for everybody else? I would love to ask that question.
Anyway, well, that was pretty cool. I'm glad you liked your birthday, Mother's Day extravaganza.
I did like my birthday, Mother's Day extravaganza. It was lovely to get dressed up and do something super fun and have some really awesome appies. That was great. So, yay!